Greetings, YouTube. Because I am a big consumer of RPG products and I look at things online constantly, uh, I get feeds. The algorithms have picked up on this. And recently I got a feed for some Kickstarter coming through, and I can't remember what the Kickstarter was. I think it was for a game with the word black in the title, but I can't remember exactly. Um, but they were trying to get funds. I believe they'd already made their Kickstarter target, and they were looking for, unlocking things at the higher levels. So I looked at real quick, and looked at what their RPG was going to be, was offering to the public, and they had a thankfully, nice little bulletin point thing, which made it real easy. And two things really stood out to me real quick that said that I had absolutely no interest in this product whatsoever. I didn't read past the second one when I hit it, so I don't know what else was available in this particular game. When I hit that second one, I'm like, yep, yeah, I'm not interested in this, and stop reading it. But the first thing I read is that there's no dark vision, that the dark is scary. Now, this was a game, or is a game, that could easily fall into the OSR category, the old school rules, the old school revival, whatever you want to call it. And this is supposed to be stuff that harkens back to the early ages of D&D, that some folks find very attractive as far as nostalgia is concerned. And I don't go all the way back to the little pamphlet-sized D&D books. No, I don't go back that far, but I do go back to AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition. I have all of my Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition books right here, because they hold very fond memories for me. And I don't know if how many of you were familiar with them, the original rules, but back then we had things called infravision and ultravision. And we abused the living hell out of those two forms of electromagnetic wave perception. Infravision was so easy to abuse, just so easy to abuse. And ultravision was even worse. Not only was it available in D&D, but it was available in the first edition of Gamma World. Remember, in the back of the first edition GM's guide, there was a conversion so that you could convert between Gamma World and AD&D, and between Boot Hill and AD&D. It was awesome. It was it was great, and I've done that always. Always had people flipping back and forth between Gamma World and D&D, because it always makes me smile. But those things existed, and they were abused by us at every opportunity. So along comes the more advanced D20 rules, and they introduce low light vision and dark vision. Now, low light vision makes absolutely perfect sense because it's real. Animals have low light vision, and some people have good low light vision. At one time, I had excellent night vision. I mean, it was one. I could walk around my house at night and never need to turn the lights on. It was great. Unfortunately, I have retinopathy, which required laser surgery, which is the single most unpleasant and painful thing I've ever experienced, and it burned out my night vision, and it burned out a lot of my contrast vision as well, which stinks. Don't recommend it. Don't become a type 2 diabetic and have bleeding in your eyes. But it does show me the contrast between what it's like to have good night vision, and now I know what it's like to have bad night vision. So there's a big difference. And I cannot imagine for even a heartbeat being a member of a species that lives their lives entirely in the ground and not having dark vision. How does that make sense? How? It doesn't. And low light vision and dark vision make absolute perfect sense in a high fantasy setting. And I can't imagine how you deciding that dwarves are now going to have a handicap for the rest of their existence of their species just because you think darkness is cool. You think that darkness should be scary. Well, find other ways of making your characters afraid. But handicapping, disabling entire species because you're too lazy to find a solution to that is beyond me. And pretending Like, we didn't have solutions to that back in the days of first edition with infravision and ultravision. Is false advertising, is being disingenuous, pretending into to telling people who are ignorant of that fact. Back in the day, we didn't have these mamby-pamby light, dark vision and low light vision. We just toughed it out because we were real gamers. No, you had infravision and ultravision, which were abused to hell and back by everybody. So that attitude about the game got under my craw real damn quick. It was the second thing I read that made me click away from this page and never look back and not even properly remember the name of the game. And that was, it says, no skills. That everything is going to be based off of a role founded on one of your 6 characteristics. And I stopped dead in my tracks and like, you've got to be kidding me. How the hell does that make any kind of sense? And I'm thinking, the only person that could make that statement is someone that has never, ever, ever engaged in anything that had a learning curve, that had a growth curve, including apparently game design. Because if you're just using your game design based purely on your intelligence, maybe that's why you think, darkness is cool for dwarves and that you should have no skills in your game. But anyone who's done something, who's acquired skills over time, yeah, the first time you do something, it's going to be based on your raw talent, But as you practice that thing, and if you do it diligently and you apply yourself and it holds your interest so you're not being forced to do it, you get better at it. But even if you're being forced to do it, you get better at it. I mean, I did not wake up one day and tell myself, I want to get really good at trimming parts. No, I trim parts at work because that's my job. And when I am presented a new part, when I start out, I'm like, okay, I know some general concepts how to trim parts, but I don't know how to trim this part. I've never encountered it before. But by the end of the day, I have developed a method that is the most efficient for trimming it. And how do I know it's the most efficient? Because I've trimmed 100 different types of parts. Actually, well more than that. And I've made, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of those pieces. So I know how to do it better than I did the first time when I had no training and I was just looking at how somebody's doing and thinking to myself, well, how the hell are they doing that fast? Well, I can now do it that fast because I've practiced. Unfortunately, it wears your hands out, which is why I now have early onsets of arthritis. But I got better at working in my shop. Why? I didn't have a shop. When I first started crafting, it was on my porch right out there. I just clamped stuff to the banister of my porch outside and had an angle grinder and I was shaping things. Now I have a proper shop where at the moment I am expanding the infrastructure almost on a weekly basis. New lights, new storage. I have so many ideas in my head. I just got a bunch of scrap metal that I'm going to turn into at least 3 new storage projects. I am so stoked. I didn't have that ability to do that when I started. I expanded my skills. And so anyone who thinks that you don't need skills in a game, to me, is really creating a game where the player characters are just going to skim along the surface of the world. It is a game tailored to the whole murder hobo concept, where they're just going to go from place to place to place to place, kill things, collect their stuff, and then go on to the next place to kill things and collect their stuff. How do you have an immersive world where you have no skills to hold you in place? When you have no understanding of the depths below you? And you can't unless your character interacts with them. And you can't interact with them with any kind of degree of accuracy and subtlety without a skill system. It doesn't have to be a huge skill system, man. But I think that has to have a skill system. The guy that practices smithing should be better than the strong dude that's never done it, even if the strong dude is stronger than the other guy. Because I've seen systems where strength was the one you got a bonus on for smithing. So why should the ogre be better at smithing than the dwarf? Yeah, the ogre's twice as strong, the dwarf's been raised in a smithing culture. You're just going to tell me, oh, well, we're going to make an exception for dwarves because they come from a dwarven culture, so they get a bonus with it. That's a skill system. I don't know if they're going to have that in that game. Again, it turned me off after second time I encountered something I thought was stupid. And I thought it was stupid when you said there's no skill system. You want to have a slim skill system? Cool, have a slim skill system. You want to have something big group thing like crafting and magic and, religion, and just have these very like thieving, maybe it's just one skill per career path or something. Whatever, you just figure it out. But it doesn't have to be one that has 150 different degrees of pedantry when it comes to pedantry. I can't remember. When it comes to skills, there are systems out there that are way too detailed. Don't get me wrong. But to say that you can have a system that lets the characters really connect with the world around them that has no skills, no, you're just going to skim along the surface. And that, to me, doesn't sound like a hell of a lot of fun. I don't want to just do the whole murder hobo thing. I did that when I was 15. It was fun. It's not fun anymore. And I can't ever go back because it involved having a worldview that was so pathetically clueless. I was ignorant of so many things, and that was the only reason I could have that worldview. The only reason I could find that fun. And now I'm 58 and I can't do that. Now you're going to tell me I don't know what fun is. Maybe I don't. Maybe I've become too woke. But you need skill systems in my book. And you shouldn't pretend like we didn't have infravision and ultravision because that's bullshit. So like I said, I don't know what the game is called. It just turned me off so much I thought I'd do a 12-minute video. So let's talk about systems that you think are missing things in glaring ways, all in the name of passing themselves off as and somehow being innovative or old school or, showing how real gamers do it. Yeah, I guess this is a bit of an RPG pet peeve video.